Hello and namaste. My name is Inge Patsch and welcome to the Social Business Series. Today, Type E social business, society-oriented or service subsidization model. This type of social business is a bit different than Type A to Type D, about whom I have explained the other video, because the social program and the enterprise activity are actually separated. So from the enterprise activity, the surplus profit is taken and is put into social program. Type E social businesses normally, I would say, work on the societal level of problems. So they try to solve any issues related with society and subsidize projects there. So it works in a manner that you have a social business which interacts with clients in the market by selling them any type of products, and then there is a group of beneficiaries who is like benefiting from the social activity, which is also run by the same organization or which is maybe given to third parties to be implemented. So as such, a social business or a type E social business is first and foremost looking after a certain problem in the market or a certain problem in society, which is central, such as discrimination or women's rights, and then builds up a profitable business model, maybe not directly around this, but any type of business, and then, of course, is treating customers, environment, suppliers, and employees fair. So which type of problems can now be solved through type E social business? So you can work with issues or groups which are not involvable in business activities otherwise. So for me, kind of the priority would definitely be given to type A to type D social businesses. So social businesses where creating the social impact is like core aspect of the business activity, which has the big advantage that it's on the one hand integrated and on the other hand it's scalable as a solution. Nevertheless, there are social problems which cannot be solved through a business model. Think, for example, about orphans. They can neither be involved as an employee nor can they be your customer or your supplier. So if you want to, for example, solve these problems or to work with drug addicts or something like this, you should come up with maybe a business model where they simply are the beneficiaries for the time being. So this limits basically also the type of things you can do. On the one hand, to either like one-time activities, so you can run a business and then you can like build whenever you have gathered enough amount, you could say, okay, now you build a building. For example, here in the picture, we do have one of these wonderful climate neutral wooden houses in this time built for a kindergarten. I don't know how did they fund it, but that would be an example of saying, okay, you collect that much money, and when you have enough money, you actually fund one-time projects such as construction of schools or community places. Or you have any type of small-scale intervention, probably which is anyway involving already a big group of volunteers who's doing the working time on a voluntary basis. So you have no or little operating costs, and then from this social business you get some base funding for office equipment, print campaigns, small events you do with this organization, so that you say, okay, like you have an association or an NGO working on a particular thing, and from the social business you're deriving some extra funding for those costs which you cannot cover otherwise. Yeah. So questions we can ask if I look into this base idea, because you basically run any type of business, and then we would be in what the common good matrix would consider E, the social environment. So from this I have derived a few questions which we could ask, saying if you run a type E social business, what could be some guiding questions for designing it or improving its integrity when it's already running. So did you find a successful intervention model? I think that is something we can always ask when it comes to social work. Like, are you able to really reach out to the target group we want, and are you able to cover them? Which is, in this case, not the question which the social organization, but which also as a business you should ask, saying, if is your specialty this, then you should ask probably, are you having a viable business model? Or if your specialty is the business model, do you know about how do you actually reach out to youth and reduce violence in gangs or whatever might be the social issue you want to work? How can you ensure integrity? Like, this is another big, crucial question, I would say, is saying, because you have this mission as a social business, you claim to be mission driven. So how do you ensure that also throughout the years, the business is still staying close to where the social aspect is, and all the employees and every other decision taken on a daily basis inside the business is for the full benefit of the social mission you have? And following on this is saying which institutions and tools for transparency and participations are in place. So are you publishing all your annual reports, all your numbers? Is it very transparent for everyone? Is there a possibility to participate, in particular for the beneficiaries, but in general, how open and how transparent and how democratic is your system? Who is having a say in strategic decision? And as I said already, which institutions of involvement and empowerment are there for the beneficiaries? So if your target group is, for example, orphans, is there a certain age from which onwards you involve them in the organization, in the annual assembly, or are those which already have have been grown up and have been undergoing this program in the earlier days? Do they serve as something like a board of former beneficiaries who can then maybe make decisions from a different viewpoint, from a different angle? How do you involve them maybe in the communication of your organization in a dignified manner? So all these are like guiding questions which would be appropriate to ask in a type E social business. The limitations and risks are very close to actually these guiding questions. So the one hand is of saying, can your business model make high enough profit to cover the cost while having the truth of cost? So because you are operating like your business model, you have to have something which is apparently profitable enough that every month you can more or less guarantee, saying there will be a certain amount of profit, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 euro. And do you find a business model where you can be like genuine to all your suppliers, where you can be environmentally friendly, have everyone involved with a proper salary, and still so having the truth of cost, so that you don't have to go for just the cheapest material, or you work with well, conventional, I don't like the word, with this poison agricultural products, just for the sake of having a good profit left over? Or are you able to have like an organic restaurant and still be able to be profitable? And then there is this ongoing struggle. It's like not really a limitation, but it's a risk, and it's something which is again connected with how are the decision-making structures. As a business, whenever you have a surplus, you have to decide, will you like reinvest it in the business for the sake that the business can grow or stay stable or stay competitive, be innovative enough, have up-to-date technologies, whatever, or do you invest it in a social project? So this might be some kind of challenge which every year you have to decide upon. And then, well, one more tricky thing is, of course, keeping the connection between business and social work. So, of course, you might want to scale up your business, but then as the business model might be very separate from what you do as a social work, at any stage in time while you're growing, while you're improving on your activities, you should just keep an eye on this question, which I saw in the past to sometimes actually reside, and these two things see to go two different ways. No? Last but not least, I want just like use this spot here to just like highlight again the difference between social enterprise and social responsible business, which are both like wonderful things, but are just conceptually two different things. So as a social enterprise, you're still mission driven. So if you claim to be a type E social business, then your central point is the mission. So you want to achieve something differently, and well, as a social responsible business, you have still profit making as a central motive, but then of course you're doing good to society. And I think while looking into case studies, which we will do next, it's sometimes very tricky from an outside perspective to say, is it now a social enterprise, a social business on the left side of the spectrum you see, or is it a social responsible business, which is just like a few inches further to the right but is having profit orientation as a central aspect, but then still doing a lot of good to society. So yeah, case studies and examples. So one example would be the Higher Ground Cafe in Nepal, which has been established. Like there is an organization working on women trafficking, which is unfortunately still a big issue in Nepal. Women and girls are still considered to be a burden for families very often, and if you cannot marry them off, or if you don't want to marry them off, if you want to get rid of them when they're younger, then unfortunately there are still traffickers who bring them to India, and then there they have to work, in worst case, in as a prostitute. So there is this organization who has been working on trafficking many years, and nowadays they have opened, like most of the ladies you see there have been former trafficked women who have been brought back, and then they have been provided a training, and nowadays they work in this coffee shop, Higher Ground Cafe in Kathmandu, and you can just go there like in a normal bakery and have cookies and coffee and cake, and I think they even sell some small jewelries which is made by this woman, and from this profit they actually cross-finance a huge amount, or I'm not sure if they're managing to fully finance it, but a lot of the activities the NGO is actually doing. Again, here with another, like this raises, of course, another question. Is it still a type E social business if only parts of the operating cost of an NGO are funded? I would say no. But of course, like we will be back to the spectrum of Kimalta we saw before. I think to just highlight the basic way it could work, still this example would help. One organization which I think is a true type E social business is Dharma Do. Dharma Do, they are like, as a business model, they are knitting, and then they are mainly supporting, well, different type of projects, but as far as I remember, also a lot of development projects or educational projects. So Dharma Do is therefore, you could say they're not centered about one social issue, but rather they're saying, we want to fund social issues, and there are so many nice projects, and we want to have surplus funds to fund this project. So in a way, they are like a type E social business, where the social aspect in the middle is very much flexible, so you can approach them. Same for the next project, which is, for all I know, also a type E social business as per the definition, which is called Book7.de, so Book7.de. It's like an online bookstore where you can order, and 75% of the gross profit is actually given to different social projects. So you can see on the screenshot, as per beginning of April, this was 367,000 euro, 68,000 euro. So a good amount of money which has been given to projects, and the projects are like rotating. So again, they don't have like one central project, but as for all I know, they support social educational projects in Germany. So they have like an area of work, and you can apply, and then you will be granted a donation between 5 and 10,000 euro, maybe 15,000 euro per project. Yes, so this is for me a very clear case of a type E social business. Yes, so I hope you liked this video. For more information, please visit www.monon.de.